Hello everyone, my name is Nitin and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we'll see how you can create a data model from any existing SQL. I have primarily worked as a data engineer throughout my career, but I never got a chance to professionally work as a data model. In this video I'll explain you how I have built a custom solution to build a data model for my existing SQLs. So we are doing a kind of a reverse engineering. Ideally the data models are built first and then you create the DDL or the physical layer out of it. But here we are trying to do it in the reverse order. Now, if I give you four queries, right, say you are somebody who knows theoretically what is data model and might have built few data models as well. If I give you four simple queries and I ask you to create a data model out of it, how much time you think you will take? Maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or maybe 30 minutes. But what if I give you, say, 400 queries? If you give me four queries, I may take 5-10 minutes to generate a data model for it. However, if you give me 400 queries, I may still take 10 minutes now because I have this utility with me. So let's dive deep into the utility. What exactly is this? So this is something like what you see in the screen on the left side. This is the data model, right? So the data model typically looks like this. I will not say that it is a enterprise level professional data model, but it is good. Like for the basic level, I think you can treat it as a data model. It represents some of the aspects of the data model, and we'll see more about it in the later part of the video. So here are some of the queries I will be using as part of this video. So this is my blog. I'll share the link of the blog also. If you want to read this blog, you can go through it after watching the video, and then you can find some more details on it as well. So what it does is you need two packages to install. So I have created a Python package basically, or the Python script, and what it does is it passes your SQL queries. You can supply one or multiple queries into it, and then what happens is it parses those SQL queries and extracts the component out of it. What are the joining columns, right? In most of the cases, you will see in the data model, there will be a foreign key and the primary key relationship established between the tables. I tend to prefer understanding the joining columns between the table to establish the relationship and not only or solely dependent on primary key and foreign key relationship. So that's why I came up with this utility, and it is very much as per my need. It solves my purpose, but it is very much customizable. So you can customize it very easily. If you know a little bit basics of Python, you can customize it very easily. The possibilities are endless with this utility. So first thing is you have to install the SQL parse package. I've given the link here. You can go to that link and just do the pip install SQL parse. Once you install it, you have to install the SQL metadata package as well. So pip install and SQL metadata. Once you install both these, right, so this is the full Python code. So what I'll do is I've already copied the queries. Let me just put it here. And then finally, I'm generating a DBML output. So now what is the DBML output? Database markup language. And the output looks something like this. So this output you can probably use in their DB diagram. They have also created a custom web app which use the DBML output as an input, and it generates a visualization for it. And they also have the CLI where you can use the CLI to generate this DBML for your existing data warehouse. But there were some constraints, and I'll talk about that as well, right? So it generates a DBML output. So coming back to our code, right? Let me run this code and generate the output first. So I'm just running this. So it has generated a DBML output, right? So let me just copy this DBML output and go to the web app and click on create a diagram. There are some existing. I'll just paste it here and boom, there is the output. So you can see, right? So my data model is ready for those four queries. There is a join between event and date table. There is sales and event table, venue, category. So you see, right, how simple it is. And it doesn't matter whether there are 4 queries or 40 queries. I can just run this Python code once, generate the DBML, put it here, and my data model is ready. That's the beauty of this package. And you just have to copy this DBML generated and put it in that web app dbdiagram.io and generate your data model, right? Now there are some assumptions I made while building this utility. As I said, this is my weekend project and I don't want you to use it at the enterprise level to replace any existing data model, because there are many salient features in the data model softwares which are not available here, right? Like you can typically set the key constraints, the granular level, all those things are not possible here. Also, the relationship between the tables, I have by default I have put it as one-to-one mapping right now, because I'm just going through the SQL queries. I don't have any access to the data, right? So I cannot predict the relationship between each and every table participating in join conditions. The good part is I am not limiting myself to the primary key or the foreign key relationship. So any columns which are joining, the intent is, as a data engineer, was to understand how two tables are connected to each other. And by that I mean, if I have to bring data from two tables, what all columns are required typically to join them and get the required data. That was my intention. So from there, I have built this data model, and I think it works for me. Whatever the purpose I thought initially while building the utility, I think it solves that purpose. So this utility is pretty good for me. I have tested this query for some of the limited number of SQL patterns, so I cannot commit that whether this utility will work for each and every query you will test, but I'm pretty sure you can customize the code and make it possible. So please bear these assumptions in mind while using the query. I am not intending to work further on this utility for now. I am working on some other weekend projects, but this was one of the weekend project I wanted to share with you all, and I find it really helpful. And why I built this utility in first place also, I would like to take few minutes to talk about that. There are some similar utilities, paid and as well as the free one, which does a similar kind of reverse engineering. But there were two main limitations I find in most of those utilities. The first one was the constraint dependency, that if you have not defined a foreign key and the primary key relationship at the DDL level, those tools were not able to pick it, right? Like there is no way, if they are looking for the foreign key and primary key dependency, right, there is no way for these tools to determine that okay, these tables are joined on the basis of these columns, and which in my case is not true. I just want to go through the SQL, and this is for the data engineering purpose, not for the data model purpose. That's what I can say. So for me, I give more weightage to the columns which are participating in joins, right? So yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is there is a limited flexibility while generating the data model, right? So if I want to generate a add or remove some columns from my data model, right, those tools, since I don't have the code, maybe for the open source one you have the code as well, but I wanted more flexibility in the output. Like here you see I have added a row ID column, a default row ID column. So in most of the cases, right, you will have a technical column in your table. It could be a insert timestamp, update timestamp, or a batch ID, or the surrogate key. Some technical columns will be there. Here, just for an example, I have added a row ID technical column in each table. I just wanted more flexibility and customizations, which I did not find in those tools. So I thought of coming up with this weekend project to solve this problem for me. And here I am sharing it with you. So feel free to use this utility. I'll drop a link of this blog in the description. You can go there, check out the blog, copy the code, run it in your environment. Let me know how it worked for you. To start, like if you are a data engineer and you have interest in data modeling, I think it should be a very good start for you. And probably you can work closely with your data model team as well, that this is what you have come up with, and probably they can give you more suggestions to make it more meaningful. And if you get any suggestions, right, and if you further enhance this utility, do share with me and with the community back, so that we can also take advantage of that. All right, that is all I wanted to cover in this video today, that how in 5 minutes with few clicks you can generate a data model for any existing SQL queries. Hope you find this video helpful. Thank you.